When you get to be my age, you feel like you've seen and heard everything. But when you're a follower of Jesus, you really never know what's around the next corner. And Pastor Randy, a couple of weeks ago, talked about God working upstream, working ahead of us. And in this crazy time, in this crazy pandemic, one of the ways that God was working upstream is through one of our microsites with Church Anywhere. We got a group of guys who went every week to Branchville, to the prison. And most of you know that jail and prison ministry is very near and dear to my heart. So I love these guys and I love what they were doing, but COVID has a way of shutting things down. So they went to Branchville every week, couldn't go anymore, but COVID couldn't shut them down. They had made this bond together and they decided to continue meeting. And at first they were doing it through a conference call on the telephone. And they would meet and they would have a devotion. They would pray with one another and they would answer some letters. And I'll talk about those letters a little bit more here in a minute. But one night, one of them asked me to do a devotion. And so I did, and it was about 15 minutes. And honestly, I can't tell you one thing I said. I can't tell you what the devotion was about. But Tyler was on that conference call, and he called me the next day and he said, Donnie, I can't just sit and do nothing. I've got to do something. So he reached out to a friend of ours at Branchville, and then she kept moving it on up the ladder, and it just kept moving. And eventually we get this call and they say, we are going to put Church Anywhere on every tablet of every prisoner in the state of Indiana. I mean, I couldn't dream that big. I could never imagine something like that. I want you to hear this. There are over 26,000 prisoners, men and women, in the state of Indiana. Now that's mind-blowing when you think about that. And it was all because of the faithfulness of these men who had been called to this mission. I mentioned letters. These men and women who are incarcerated write letters to the church every week. One of the men from this group comes and picks them up. They answer those letters. To date, they have answered over 400 letters from men and women who are incarcerated in Indiana. That's just mind-blowing. In Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20, there's a scripture that says, and God can do exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever ask or hope for. And that's exactly what he's done in this instance right here. It's something bigger and more than we could ever imagine. It's exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever think. So whether you're here at 305 Oliver Street today or you're watching at one of our Church Anywhere sites, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of your life and to be a part of these wonderful ministries. And there is much more here today. So here's another story about something incredible God has done.